Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap Polaris 29 that had some phenomenal matches on it. As always in the show, I'm your host, Mange, my co-host.
Miranda.
How you doing, Miranda?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm back from a couple of weeks of work, which if you saw last week's show when we previewed Mikey Musumeci versus Cade Rotolo, that's because we recorded that show early, and then a couple days after that dropped out, and I was like, well,
yeah,
I am out in the woods for work for the next couple of weeks, so we can't fix this. So this show is going to fix that. We're going to talk about essentially, we're going to jump right into the news section of the show. We're just covering Polaris today and talking about
some stuff that happened at One Championship over the weekend,
and then at the end we'll preview a few other things. But basically, the big news this week in grappling is, other than Polaris being pretty awesome as usual, was we had a match that we talked about last week, which was Cade Rotolo, who's the champion for One Championship at 170 in grappling. He was their lightweight champion. One uses MMA weight classes, but because they have this hydration testing that we'll talk about in a second here, they moved other weight classes up one, essentially. So although Cade is the lightweight champion in one, it is 170. So typically what is welterweight in like every other organization in the world. Mikey is the 135-pound champion, the flyweight champion for one, typically bantamweight. So if in this section, if I kind of switch between the two, that's why the One Championship weight and the normal MMA weight classes are like one off. But that's why. So originally contracted against Cade at 170, and then Cade pulls out due to injuries from CJI.
Which, didn't you know you were injured after CGI? Like a week ago?
But also, you win $1 million, you go, maybe I'm a little tired, maybe X, Y, and Z. Maybe you get $1 million and the bank account clears and you go, yeah, my shoulder hurts a little bit. I have $1 million. I'm good for now. Maybe you're a little less willing to push through an injury to take on a guy like Mikey Musumeci with a bad style matchup like Levi Jones-Leary. Who knows your thought process, but it also wouldn't surprise me to have Cade be injured.
I'm not saying he's not injured. I'm just saying he should have known that a little.
You should have known that before we recorded last week's episode a week early?
Yeah. Should have known.
So, as a result, they basically look for a replacement for Mikey because they want Mikey on the card. It's a U.S. card. Mikey is a U.S. grappler. And he historically, every time they come to Denver, competes in Denver. I was out there last year to watch him compete against Osama last May in Denver. It was great. So we are getting a lot of kind of hearsay and speculation. Some stuff we have confirmed, some stuff we don't have confirmed. We're just going to give you the information that we have in case you haven't kind of followed this through the last week and a half. We got information from Tom DeBlas, from Mikey, ONE FC has said stuff. Essentially, Mikey goes, okay, I want Pato Oliveira. Very good grappler. It would be a really good match. But he wants the match at 35, not at a catch weight. And it seems like from some reports that's Mikey's decision. My guess, if that is Mikey's decision, it's because there's probably a stipulation in his championship contract for pay or for bonuses or something where it's financially it is he's very incentivized to go defend. Or if he's now going to Denver to compete and it's not a championship bout, it's a catchweight bout, he potentially may have to foot the bill for some stuff. We know very little about kind of how One Championship contracts are structured other than
it might be structured differently for different people.
We know it is. But generally speaking, they're very restrictive contracts, kind of like the UFC contracts. Again, it's a big MMA organization in the world. So we don't know, but I'm guessing, this is pure conjecture and a guess on mine, is that there's something in his contract that makes it really conducive to him to take a championship bout. And Mikey was never going to be 170
probably
anyway.
Because he was also going to lose his belt if he didn't fight at 135.
Well, no, I think he wanted to make it a championship at his belt, and then ONE FC went, cool, here's Pato. Now it has to be at 35.
Well, no, he said he wanted Pato.
He wanted Pato, and then one went, okay, it's going to be, or he went, I'm guessing everyone pushed for 135 because Mikey probably was never going to be 170 anyway against Cade, so he was...
No, he said he was in the 140s.
Yeah.
That's what I saw at least.
Probably only a 15-pound... Again, not only here in big quotes here. If you look at Mikey's body composition,
but a 15-pound cut when you're being hydration tested is different than a 15.
In a week.
Yeah.
Also, when you're expecting to make 170 and not ready, 15-pound cuts are very doable if you prepare for 6 weeks in advance to do it. not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but they're very doable. We have fighters, you and I have both been around fighters for a very long time. We've also done our own water cuts. Like, if you prepare ahead of time, it's very
because you have that
easy
water
to do,
there
you know how to do it.
Yeah.
If it's all of a sudden, like tomorrow you go, hey, Maine, you have to lose 8 pounds. I'm like, that's going to be a problem. Like, I'm not prepared. My salt loading is incorrect. My potassium, magnesium. Like, there's a bunch of other, you can really get into the weeds medically for how you cut this weight, especially if you have to meet hydration testing. There's a specific way you kind of have to do it. A couple of days, with I think 4 or 5 days before Mikey had to compete.
72 hours.
72 hours is probably not enough time, and it wasn't enough time for him to make 135. Yeah. As a result, he didn't make 135. They tried to make it a catch weight, but they couldn't make it or wouldn't make it a catch weight because it wasn't within 5% of the match weight. Now, this is interesting because this is probably a Denver commission rule or a One Championship rule. Like, I've seen guys miss weight before, or I've actually seen guys back in the day. Both guys had contracts.
Yeah.
One guy's contract was 170. One guy's contract was 55. Yeah. And the guys came in at they realized the day before that there was a weight mismatch, and the guy went, cool, I'll just weigh in with a bunch of stuff in my pockets. And the commission went, yeah, if you get within 10 pounds, we will still allow for the match to be a catch weight.
I think it's 10. So
within the weight class.
I messed up the names. So allegedly it had to be within 5% to make it catch weight. And so he asked for open weight.
Oh yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
I wrote it down wrong, but yeah. I've heard the whole you have to be within so many pounds of your opponent.
Certain jurisdictions it's 3 pounds. Yeah. Certain it's 5. Certain it's 7. Certain it's 10. It all kind of depends. 10 is the largest in the U.S.
10 is what they told us for Jiu-Jitsu. We had to be within 10 pounds of each other. Yeah.
Yeah. But for MMA sanctioning, and this is a grappling match, but they kind of fall under that kind of sanctioning for all of their events. But Mikey doesn't make the weight. Long story short, Mikey doesn't make the weight. He gets hospitalized because he's trying to make a really hard weight cut. He gets, Miranda, do you want to take a stab at this name? Or you want me to give you a minute and then I'll keep talking and then you try it?
Pneumomedastism.
And Miranda looked this up, and it is.
I should have done the Google.
Pneumomedastism, air present in the space between the chest and the lungs around the heart. Air in your body cavity where it shouldn't be, essentially, is what Miranda has looked up. I'm getting, as always, Miranda's provided phenomenal notes for the show.
Yeah, it's like air. It's kind of like air in between your lungs and where like your heart is.
Shouldn't be air there.
For him, it got up to his neck.
Yeah, my brother actually had this 10 plus years ago. So
really?
This and something else, but it's scary. It's a very.
I've known people get condition. Infections in their pleural cavity and that kind of stuff, but never.
So it's bad. So Mikey got stripped. He's in the hospital. I think he's out of the hospital now, or he's still in the hospital.
I don't know. I haven't seen.
Mikey posted his medical records to show that it was real. One Championship called the fight off, stripped Mikey of the belt, and so essentially there was no grappling on this card. Demetrius Johnson on this card retired, and Chatri got his black belt from Henzo. He's been kind of around, and that makes sense given his lineage. But that's the drama with Mikey. So now essentially Cade's out with an injury. Mikey is no longer the champion. And a lot of fighters this week this is kind of outside of grappling, have come out of the woodwork this week and been having issues with one. Like Gary Tonin got dropped from rankings. Buchecha came out. Yeah. We've heard stories, again, about a year ago from Michelle Nicolini with them dropping her, and even some of the fighters in their heavier weight classes.
Buchecha is almost acting like he wants them to drop him.
Well, a lot of fighters want that. And we've even have fighters in One Championship that are fighting in other organizations right now, outside of their contract. Look, man, you're not giving me fights. I'm just going to go fight. And one is not pursuing. So there's been a big discussion internally, if you followed One Championship for the last 5 or 8 years, about their finances. And given some of the happenings over the last month, really the last month, but more so this week, there's some questions about exactly where One Championship's finances sit for why some of these decisions are being made and why things are happening. So again, I really enjoy One Championship. I like their product. I think they have really great matches. They have great Thai fights. They have great Muay Thai. They have great cage Muay Thai. They have great kickboxing. Generally speaking, I think it's one of the best products in combat sports as far as how it runs. They're fun cards to watch. But if they can't pay their fighters, they can't pay their athletes, they're cutting a huge number of rosters, they can't get guys fights, like there's a lot of X factors and questions. Especially
there was one, but I don't know who. No, that wasn't a. I was checking to make sure we didn't miss any matches, but I don't recognize any of these people.
So that is all of the drama currently. Not all the drama. There's some of the drama that has happened this last week with One Championship. You can look into it further.
We also know Mikey will just say it out loud. He doesn't seem to hold
doesn't
back
have a lot
much.
of filter. Him and Demetrius Johnson had a funny interview where they were talking about how old Gordon Ryan looked, which was really funny. And they talked about like steroid use. Speaking of steroid use, look at that segue. Felipe Andrew popped at IBJJF pans for Clomid. And as a result, you found this out.
Yeah.
Because I was in the woods. Polaris canceled his match. So basically that match that we were talking about, Felipe Andrew, last week got moved because he got removed because Polaris kind of works on the up and up. Like if
they
you
said,
pop or you move, they're not going to book you.
Yeah, they basically, I think they wound up saying that sometime last year. They said it the first time back when Michael was still banned.
Yeah, I remember that now.
They made a comment about it. And they've, I guess, and they did it like as soon as they announced it. I mean, within 24 hours.
Like Felipe Andrew was there.
Yeah, he was in the pictures.
Which again, we sort of talk about we are sports entertainment and kind of like enthusiast press for the sport. Like for me, it is not super important. Like I don't really care what guys do with their bodies. I'm here to watch entertaining matchups, entertaining guys. Again, not a high level athlete, not in that space as a competitor. Just as really an entertainment value. But again, I'm very happy that organizations have clear-cut rules for how they handle these things. I love the ADCC's kind of rules. Hey, we don't test. IBJJF is, hey, we test at these majors. Polaris is, hey, if you have outstanding ban in another jurisdiction, we're going to uphold that. You know, they all have very, very clear rules for how they operate, and I appreciate there's consistency across the board.
But then you have, is it CB, the Brazilian form of IBJJF?
Yeah, what is that?
It's like CBJJF or something like that.
Yeah, they're like, rip it, baby. We're not going to test
They were
anyone.
like, whatever. So,
like, it's Brazil,
so
baby.
I'm sure Felipe Andrew will still be doing those tournaments.
Yeah, kind of like Mika did.
Yeah, kind of like Mika did.
So that is the news for this week. So we're not going to talk about a couple of matches. Unfortunately, I hope that Mikey heals up. Again, I really like watching Musumeci compete. Same thing with Cade. I really hope he heals up again. I hope this is not one of those matches that just gets lost to the wind of like we're 5 years down, like, oh, it could have been.
Yeah.
Because Mikey's 28, 29. I think, 28 right now? Cade's 21. Like, they're on those ends of the years where it's like Cade's going to be like 25 and Mikey will be like mid-30s. And it's like that gap is going to potentially widen where Mikey's going to get older, especially at a lower weight class. And Cade's going to be the much younger fighter. He's 7 years junior to him. Like this match is only, I think, really going to be super, super interesting for me for the next couple of years. And so with how active these guys are, I would love to see it put together. I would love to see people get their money. If you haven't got a chance to watch the Mikey Musumeci interview with Demetrius Johnson, I've just caught clips, but those two dudes are really funny together.
I'm sure they are.
There was some great like talking moments between them about like Mikey talking about like, yeah, everyone was mad at me for going to One to get my money, and then CJI pops up and everyone's like, oh, I got to get money. And it's like, you guys were so pissed at me for doing this years ago. And he goes, now everyone's a hypocrite. It was just a very funny Mikey, like Mikey getting upset about something take. And I appreciate him openly advocating for getting paid, because that is what drives athletes' careers, is pay and ability to kind of have money to do things in their camp, perform well, and have the things and services available to them to be world-class athletes. So that is the news section, Miranda. Is there anything that I've missed during my 2-week stint in the woods?
I don't think so. I think that was the gist of everything. And it basically all happened at one time.
Yeah.
It was like Felipe pops.
I would get reception and go, what the hell is happening? I got like a bunch of messages like, this match got canceled. I got people like, why'd you preview it? I'm like, because I was in the woods. We got a message on YouTube. It was like, why'd you preview it? Because it was in the woods and we didn't know. And then so that's this week. Miranda, let's move on to Polaris 29. Where do you want to start with this one?
So we're going to start with the biggest troll match that I've seen in a long time. And I will say that. Okay. In Tynan Dalpra. Oh. And him deciding to Tariq hopscotch.
Yeah.
Or
Tarek.
Hopstock.
So we were in the pre-show, we were talking about this match, and you're like, what's Tarek's last name? I was like,
I keep on thinking it's hopscotch, kind of like the game you play as a child.
I keep thinking it's Aplata. So what's Tarek's last name? Aplata? Like, nope, it's Hopstock.
So initially we had previewed it for Tynan Dalpra versus Max Lindblad. Mm-hmm. And then Max pulled out over an injury. Tariq has actually beat Max.
It was a good replacement.
Yeah. So
Tariq is very good. He has a submission named after him. Tariq is very good. The Tariq Plata is named after Tarek Hopstock.
It's a fun move. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
If you don't know what the Tariq Plata is, we'll talk about it here in a second.
Yeah. It's good times against big people.
A good matchup replacement for Tynan to take on Tarek. By the way, I'm going to call him Tarek. I'm going to call him Tariq. I apologize. It's been 15 years of me doing this. I think it's because I know a guy, and it's Tarek, who has the same name.
But it's not a Tariq Plata. It's a Tariq.
It's a Tariq Plata. I know, but I'm saying like that's why it shows up because I know a man and I'm friends with a guy named Tarek.
Okay.
It's spelled the same way.
Okay.
And I think it's Tariq here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna flip them because I make the problem. And on the commentary they were talking about this matchup and they're like, oh yeah, Tynan's beat him a couple of times, and we looked up and we could only find one at black belt.
Yeah.
But it's possible given the era these guys could have met.
And the size, yeah.
Could have met earlier, but I think that Tarek has been a black belt much longer.
And it could just be that all the IBJJF shit isn't one.
Yeah, sometimes there's missing. Yeah. There are missing records against jiu-jitsu records. Yeah. Give it 15 years. Hopefully they'll be better, but right now there's some missing records here and there.
It's in the gi. And we know that Tynan has only lost twice in the gi recently. One by really bad DQ.
Versus Francisco Lowe.
Where he put his hands together where he shouldn't have put his hands together.
Yep.
And the once to Gomez.
Yep. Jansen Gomez passed him.
So that's the only time. So it's Tynan.
He's what, 3?
At black
he's
belt.
like 2 and like 85 or something. Some like crazy record. Tynan Daupra, this was kind of a weird match. Tynan Daupra was probably going to win this match. He's beat Tarek before. Beautiful passing, passes to the top, passes into the mount, or then passes over and grabs the Kimura.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You were saying?
And there's 2 times where he tries it. So now we have to go into what Tariq Plata is.
So Tariq Plata is basically you have a Kimura, they're up on their side, you have the Kimura grip, and then what you do is with your low side leg, the one that's going to come over their hip, you jump over to the side and basically like essentially what it looks like is a splitter on the arm, but you twist your hips up and attack the shoulder.
It's your inside leg.
Inside leg, sorry.
Yeah, it's if you're sitting on them, it's the leg that's on top of their body. It's you're going across them so that your butt basically falls on their face. Yeah. You want to sit on their face and kind of throw your leg over their arm.
And it torques the shoulder. And when a guy has a really good grip on like a belt or a hand or like is preventing you from getting the Kimura banged out.
Or they're just freaking strong as fuck. Like if you get a really like big bodybuilder strong man, their shoulder can't handle it.
So it's a really good way to attack a shoulder, and that's partially why Tarek Hopstock, like, I don't want to say invented it, but like popularized it. Is the right way, is because he figured out, cool, I can attack the shoulder when you still have your hand in. And Tynan seemed hell-bent on doing this to Tarek. And it was the first one's like, okay, he's going to try it. That's kind of nifty and neat. And then he doesn't get it. Tynan is, if you want to watch defense to the Tariq Plata, watch Tynan try to do it to Tarek this first time. Yeah. And then Tynan seems hell-bent on doing it, gets back to the position, passes. Like Tynan stays on top the entire time because he's Tynan Daupra. He is, again, one of the best gi practitioners in the world.
And this is his first match ever at Polaris.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I missed that.
It is.
It's making a statement. They had a bunch of AOJ guys there this time. Felipe Andrew, Diego Pato, Tynan Daupra, Cole Abate. Like, it was essentially a half AOJ card.
It was.
Almost. And then Tynan goes for it again. And this is where kind of the weirdness happened in the match. Tarek like has his hand up and like taps the Kimura before it's all the way banged out and done, and you can tell that Daupra gets upset about this because he wants to Tariq Plata him, and it looks like that Tarek goes, cool, I'm not gonna let you Tariq Plata. I know what you're gonna do, and you've now figured out the defense. You now know exactly where you have to be to crank the shoulder here. You're gonna try to blow through my shoulder when you turn, so I'm gonna tap early here when you have it. Not let you hit me with my own shit on principle.
I think
I know you're gonna.
I'm pretty sure.
Now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he tapped early because he didn't want to get tapped by his own shit.
Well, and then Tynan kind of like
Tynan's like, "Fuck you, I'm doing it anyway."
In a weird kind of petty way that was odd. Like he's obviously tapping, and then Tynan goes, "Oh," and he quickly like jumps over for the triple plata to like try to get it, and it's like Tarek's tapping the entire time, and there's this weird pause where Tynan kind of stops and then goes, "I'm gonna do it anyway." Before the ref comes in, it was like honestly, it wasn't a good look. It was kind of weird.
No,
I don't know why you just like really, really wanted to make sure you got him with a Tarico Plata. Like it was a weird
and I don't
thing
think
to do.
there was any like weird, like
not that I know of, no bad blood or something.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything. He's beat him before, so
yeah, it was odd and it wasn't a great look. Personally, again, I'm less concerned from like a. That's not what I watched Grappling for, but it was an odd decision to make in the moment to like put one over a guy like that to make a statement like that.
What's the last match that we covered of someone who hit someone's own shit upon them? I'll give you a couple seconds to think about this. I had somebody tell me this
Uno
today.
reverse card?
No.
Okay.
I had someone tell me this, and I completely forgot that this even existed. Mikey Musumeci, Aoki locked Aoki.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
That was the last time that, think about it. Somebody.
But also, like, he didn't, like, Aoki didn't tap to something earlier, and then, like, Aoki went, I had to get it. It was, the finish for this was weird. Tynan Dalper was the clear favorite in this. It was a little odd that he decided to, like, make a statement like this.
Yeah.
But again, Tynan moves through. I would love to see him on Polaris again. He puts on a really fun pace. It was a fun match. Do you have any other takeaways on this other than that?
No, it was something.
It was definitely something. Where do you want to go from here?
We can go to, how about his teammate, Cole Abate?
Cole Abate. This is fun. We haven't seen Cole in a while. Cole kind of addressed his injury in his post-fight interview. He defeated Sam McNally via decision, which Sam McNally, in my head at least, is mostly a no-gi guy. I think former ADCC trials champion at under 66 kilos.
He said he had to shake the dust off of his gi.
Yeah.
So he's not a gi practitioner.
No, I mean he is a gi practitioner. He did play,
but
he's gone through black belt in the gi. Nowadays, much more in the last 5+ years, been mostly a no-gi guy. As I understand, when we cover Sam McNally's matches, I think we might have covered him in the gi before, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Cole Abate does both, does gi and does no-gi. Kind of primarily a gi player, although he will hop into ADCC the last cycle.
Yeah, I think he was gi until... But I think that's kind of an AOJ thing if you think about it.
Yeah, they keep you gi, and then when you're like one of the best guys in the world, they go, you want to do no-gi?
I think he runs a no-gi program there. I think that's what they said.
Wouldn't surprise me. Cole Abate is very good. He's been injured, allegedly. Pato broke his foot a year and a half ago, and he's been recovering from that.
We've never seen any of that said anywhere, but
jiu-jitsu community kind of talks.
Yeah.
And so, like, again, I don't want to be the authority for that, but that is what we have heard.
Yeah.
And word tends to get around in jiu-jitsu.
He did say he was injured.
Yeah. Allegedly, that is the injury. So we were curious to see what would Abate look like. Homie looks good.
Yeah.
Homie looks real good. Takes a pretty clean decision. Really nice jumping back takes. Really nice. Kind of like similar to what Pato was doing, but a little more like a young man's game version of that. Very much outside passing, looking for like the butt grip that's illegal in AJP, but still legal in IBJJF to take the back. Really good job of like crushing down Sam McNally's hips. But honestly, to Sam McNally's credit, he was in this the entire time and like really preventing Cole from being able to like for any long piece of time lock anything in.
Even the gator roll he didn't get.
Yeah.
Like, he almost gator rolled him, and then somehow Sam McNally didn't get gator rolled. And I was like, whoa.
Sam saw it coming and went, cool, I'll roll out, get my shoulders flat. Sam did a good job the entire time of either getting his shoulders flat to things or getting in front of Cole Abate or getting to turtle and, like, forcing Cole to, like, select a side and try to jump for it, and then Sam would beat him, which is, I think, is kind of a funny thing because normally in gi, these sequences are not successful in like stopping back takes.
Yeah.
But because Sam is such like a good no-gi practitioner and plays a lot of ADCC rules, I think it's really funny that maybe his get to turtle and roll through, like that's a weird skill that I think we've seen guys that do a lot of ADCC rules get very, very good at. IBJJF, they tend to reward you a little longer for like sitting in the turtle.
Yeah.
Whereas ADCC, because they kind of expect you to continue to attack, guys are immediately trying to punch and bang hooks in. Whereas IBJJF, they'll tend to sit in the turtle a little longer, and then when they have their positioning, then they'll bang their hooks in. And so it's just, I think there's something there from like a meta perspective. And in my head there is. So I'm going to watch this more guys that do both to just see if there's like a meta shift there between those two rule sets. But Abate looked good. Do you have any kind of moments in this match you want to break down or talk about?
Not really.
I was really happy with the aggressiveness of Cole Abate's outside passing.
Yeah, both of them. And both of them kind of didn't stop moving the entire time.
Yeah.
It was a good match from beginning to end. Even being a gi match, it wasn't slow at all.
Yeah, honestly, Polaris, it doesn't put gi matches on very often, but this card had a lot of them, and I was kind of casually surprised. Like, Polaris generally knows how to do really good matches. I don't know what they tell the guys in the back, but they generally tend to have really good matches, both gi and no gi, and I think they're one of the few organizations that will consistently have good gi matches and like good showcase gi matches. So whatever they're doing over there in the UK, I'm super happy for because these were, like, again, a collection of really good gi matches. Cole Abate looks good, looked a little rusty, a little not quite as close to the hips as we've seen him play before to get hooks in and like roll through, but also Sam McNally is a veteran and pretty crafty.
I didn't know Sam McNally was at Essential. He was Essential and another gym at the same time, and I
think he's been Essential. I think we talked about this a couple years ago. I could be wrong, but I think
he's been.
We talked about this switch. Yeah, Essential's be JT Torres' gym.
Yeah,
that's where Fionn is. That's where Gabriel Souza is.
I don't know where Fionn is because Fionn's. I think she left. Well, she might have just left New York.
Oh, okay. I thought
she had said she was leaving New York, but I don't know what that means. Like she seems to travel every couple years.
Yeah,
but that's where
Souza is and
JT. So I don't.
Again, Abate looked really good. I was happy finally to see him back. Hopefully he remains uninjured. And we can see more of him both in gi and no gi. I would love Who's Number One to bring him back for a match on Who's Number One.
Yeah.
I want to see him in more super fights. It'd be cool to see him in like IBJJF and like in the world stage circuits, like the big tournaments. But I really want to see him in these super fights because there's some really fun matchups for him as a young competitor. What's the next one you want to do?
Should we do our last gi and then we'll be done with the gi? Our last gi is
it's the last
Pato.
It's the last gi match.
Yeah.
We had Diego Pato defeating Ash Williams.
In the gi.
In the gi. This is, I think Ash has not done the gi at Polaris before.
I don't know, but it's his first loss at Polaris.
Yeah, he's been undefeated at Polaris. Goes and takes on Pato. They have history before. Pato has beaten Ash before. I think ADCC just now.
Yeah.
I think it was a first round matchup.
Yeah.
He got Pato in the first round, and Pato took silver.
Yeah.
Again at ADCC. I'm always impressed by Ash. He's a guy that a lot of guys write off because he's out of the UK, he's European, like we don't see him on the American stage a lot, but whenever we cover him on Polaris, like again, undefeated at Polaris, whenever we cover him at trials, like just consistently a guy that is in the mix as one of the best guys in the world.
Yes.
And
he held him off. He held off Pato's leg locks and attacks and all kinds of stuff. And the
back takes and everything.
Yeah.
There was he forced Pato to get crafty with passing. Pato tried a couple of different crab ride back takes, a couple of passes, a couple of ninja roll back. Just kind of threw a bunch of different passes, and eventually Pato goes, "Cool, I just kind of have to smash pass you from the front, from the front of the leg weave and the half guard," and that is eventually what he's able to get past Ash with. It was really funny to watch all of these much more ornate back takes with complex gripping sequences and turn throughs. Because we know Ash is mostly a no-gi guy, you would think that you're obviously gonna beat him, the no-gi guy, and then you realize that Ash is a very good black belt and also does occasionally train. I think he teaches classes in the gi still.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I think I was at the CJI merch booth. And that was an hour and a half line.
Oh yeah, and you were with one of his guys.
I got a chance to talk to one of his guys about Ash and training camp, and we just shot the shit for an hour.
Yeah.
And he was he's been with Ash for a very long time, very complimentary of Ash and his game. But for some reason, I think in that conversation, Ash still does for classes put on the gi.
Okay.
I don't know if that's actually true, because a lot of guys will do that, only compete in no-gi, but when they run their academies, actually do run both. I forget if Ash is one of those guys, but he looked very competent in the gi. He looked like he knew how to deal with these complex gi passes and like control of the hips, pants control that Pato was using, and really never letting Pato have a good look at his back to take his back and lock him down, forcing Pato to play through his guard. And eventually Pato goes, cool, I have to smash past you, gets a really good grip on the outside lapel, turns down, eventually hits like a hip switch pass, like a long step hip switch pass over to get past the legs of Ash. He's on top. He is the one being the most aggressive most of the time, takes a clear win here on decision. But I was really impressed with, like, every time we see Ash in like a tough matchup, I'm like, oh, it's easy to pick. It's easy to pick against Ash.
Yeah.
Consistently for years has always impressed me as like one of the best European dudes and one of the top guys, even, you know, out in worldwide in the sport. And so I got to stop picking against Ash Williams, but Pato does beat him here. But again, just a phenomenal showing from Ash versus Pato, who's like a world champion in the gi.
Yeah.
Anything else on this?
Nope.
Those are all the gi matches. Let's move into the no-gi matches. So I want to say this before we move into these sections. So Polaris, most of these matches are scored in a period system, and there's 3 periods, and you get essentially you need to win 2 of the 3 to win the match. It is not, and you remember this because commentary said it. You reminded me on the pre-show. Polaris does not use a 10-point must system, so that means essentially if one of the fighters wins round 1, then wins round 2, and then gets demolished in round 3,
it doesn't matter.
Only 1 point.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 matches actually we'll talk about on this card that is a factor.
Yeah.
That being said, I kind of do like a 10-point must system better because it does change some optics of the match.
Yeah.
But again, this is the scoring system that Polaris uses. It is very straightforward. It is usually not like an optics problem when you have a winner.
Well,
but
and the other problem, it's not really a problem, but the other thing was, I guess before they always used submissions as being like the be all end all. Like if you had more submission attempts, you would win a round. But they said they kind of pushed that to the side, and now they do like dominance and that. Yeah. So it's a whole, like, they look at the whole match.
It's a combination of factors, but they look at it so basically, and it's a continuous round, but it's just judged in 3 sections. And so you kind of have to watch the clock to know when your round section is ending.
And they don't do what
Flow does for like open scoring.
Yeah, and they don't do the whole like after like such and so wins round 1, you know, or anything out in the open like that.
Which I like. Actually, I really like open scoring, and I really think that all combat sports should use open scoring. I think it's really weird that you're halfway through an MMA fight and then you don't know who's winning on the judges. You're like, that's like every other sport, you know who's winning, but a lot of combat sports, it's this weird like.
It's like secret.
It's secret, and I think it leads to a lot of weird and bad performances because you're not giving your athletes the information that they need to make the right decisions. Like, cool, I thought I was up, I was actually down.
Sometimes that's coaching.
A lot of times it's a combination of factors, but you give your coaches more information, they can let your athlete do what they need to do. So let's talk about, I think, the most controversial match on this card. We had Mohammed. Do you have his last name, Miranda? Can you give it?
Avtarhanov?
Yeah, Mohammed Avtarhanov. Mohammed is what I'm going to use versus J-Rod. He beats J-Rod. J-Rod just coming off of ADCC, taking silver.
I'm going to call him Mo.
Taking a silver medal, getting beaten by Giancarlo Bodoni, the only guy to win 2 in a row at under 88 kilograms at ADCC.
Yes.
And J-Rod now lives up to the B team name, getting the silver. But we didn't really know much about Mohammed in this last match. We looked up some information last week when we previewed him, and then we went, okay.
Well, 2 weeks ago.
But when the show came out last week.
Okay.
2 weeks ago when we recorded it.
Everybody knows that by now. We already
This was a very...
Mo was more flexible than I thought a guy of his size would be.
Yeah.
He could do shit that I can do, and I'm a little person. It was not the match I expected. J-Rod initially hits is it like an arm? Was it an arm drag? It's like an arm drag or like a
like jiu-jitsu arm drag.
Yeah,
thing.
it was something. He almost gets on his back like immediately after the exchange, and Mo's like, okay, fuck this shit. I'm going to sit now. Yeah. And sits in front of him.
Which is a good idea versus J-Rod.
And then I was surprised, like, Mo has pretty long legs. And
arms, too. I think there's a couple things where that comes into play here, like attribute-wise.
And he played a really weird guard. And I say it's weird. I don't know if it's a length weird, but it was kind of a knee shield. But his one foot was like up in the air. And I was like, huh.
It's like a pendulum knee shield almost.
Yeah, it was a weird like
you're almost gonna go to like a clamp guard or something, but you haven't quite decided and selected what you want to do.
It's like
that.
Yeah, it's like in the middle somewhere, which is a different kind of guard. And then he did. I mean, he was doing a really good job just blocking the passes and just going after his far leg. And he wrestled up once and almost took him down.
Yep.
They went out of bounds and he had some really good attacks. And the only way I can really justify this whole thing, because Mo winds up defeating J-Rod, it was
he gets a split decision.
He gets a split decision. Is that Mo by the judges must have won the first round. And then the second round. Yeah. And then J-Rod wins the third round.
So, J-Rod, in the last round of this match, it is J-Rod almost the entirety of the last period of the match with a rear naked choke in multiple times, just crushing.
I have no idea how he didn't. I mean, I get that.
I have no idea either.
It was mostly a face crunch. Yeah. And that's how Mo.
I mean, Mo's nose looked like broken a little bit.
Yeah, but.
After, not broken, but like
the first one was right across the face, so I get that. Like
you can eat that. It hurts, but you can eat it.
The second one, man, it was
low enough on the jaw where you really have to.
Oh, you're gonna like. I mean, it was bad. It was, and he wasn't getting out of it.
Yeah, but that was the entirety of the last round was a nice back take from J-Rod, and then rear naked chokes for the entirety of the round. They were for the entirety of that section very, very deep. Yeah, and it was like okay. The decision goes. Cool, this is easy for J-Rod. The first two rounds were very close. I would have given Mo one. I would have given J-Rod the other. But they were close.
Nah, the second one was Mo. The first one. Sorry, the first one's you could go either way.
The first one was close. Like you can go either way.
The second one was definitely Mo.
And see, that was like J-Rod had the back take earlier that Mo reversed over.
Mo was on his back. Second round. Oh right, Mo is on his back. Yeah. For a decent amount of the match and is in control most of the match. Second
and then
round,
that third round
is completely J-Rod on the back.
I forgot when I was watching here that it was a 3-period system and not a 10-point muscle. It's like, cool, J-Rod wins that. It's close, or at best it'll be a draw because you'll 10-8 or 10-7 the guy in that last round where it's like you put up overwhelming offense. And then
I think they don't want draws. I think that's part of the reason why.
I understand. Optically, this one was weird for me where it's like, Mo had like two like
I don't know
rounds.
The other match we're going to talk about I think is weirder.
Oh, I thought this was way weirder.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, well, because it went with a 10-point must system. This is a draw. Yeah, where it's like, you have Mo maybe win the first two, and then you have J-Rod get a 10-8 or a 10-7 because based on your criteria, if you're using like an old MMA system or the new system, old system it's going to be a 10-9, but 10-8 should be a 10-8. Yeah. New system that could be a 10-7, where it's like you have overwhelming offense with with only defensive and almost match-ending offense from J-Rod. But because it's the 3-round system, J-Rod loses, and everyone's kind of even Mo is kind of like, okay, and J-Rod kind of goes, okay, and the crowd kind of goes, okay, and that's kind of why I think a 10-point must-up is better when everyone watching and the athletes and everyone kind of goes, okay, that's weird. I think a 10-point must-up can finish that. You have two close rounds that are like, very close 10-9. And then you have an overwhelming third round where action happens. It is weird to call those things the same, which is what the 10-point must system fixes. So, again, Mo wins this on the scoring criteria that they were competing in. He played it really well. He didn't tap, and he did enough to win in the first two rounds. I don't want to take anything away from his performance, but it is just a weird kind of optically when you watch someone dominate so completely in a third round and then lose a decision. It's like, oh, that was the most things that happened in the match, and you didn't win based on how it's configured. So it was weird. I didn't really like it, But again, this is the rules that for 95% of the matches for Polaris, it's a phenomenal system. For some like this, it goes, leaves a little to be desired in my end. But Mo takes it. Congrats to him. That's the biggest win of his career, absolutely by far. And he played it well.
It's gonna be interesting to see who they match him up with.
Yeah, I want to see him back. Again, you do this well against J-Rod and you beat him in the first 2 rounds.
He made J-Rod match his pace. He slowed J-Rod down, which was the only way he really had the ability to control him and kind of dictate what was happening.
I was happy we saw J-Rod come out fast again.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we're seeing that from J-Rod more frequently. He did again have a moment where he took the foot off the gas and kind of got dominated for a second. But I like that we're seeing that happen less frequently, both in ADCC and here. Yeah. But it was a bit of an odd scoring on the match, but totally makes sense within the rule set. And you got to play to your rule set. That's how the game works. So let's move on to another kind of weird one. This made more sense to me. With this, we had Davis Asare versus George Pierce, and George Pierce was the one that got replaced by Felipe Andrew because of the USADA. The USADA popping that Felipe Andrew for Clomid. Yeah. Which is honestly a common, which is not an uncommon thing to take in grappling.
Well, it's because it boosts your estrogen, and by boosting your estrogen, your testosterone gets boosted, and that way you're not killing your testosterone. So your natural testosterone doesn't decrease. Because otherwise, if you're just taking the sweet potato testosterone, then you...
It's a yam.
Your yam testosterone, then your testosterone production goes down.
And it messes up your endocrine system and a whole lot of things. But regardless, we had Davis Asare versus George Pierce. Davis looks great in the first 2 rounds. Yeah. He's dominating the match. Okay, cool. I think it was very funny in this previous... Oliver Taza on one of Davis Asare's posts was bring a scale this time. Yeah. And there was a laughing emoji because last time Davis Asare I'm going to call him... His name is Davis. Davis was supposed to be in the Polaris GP. Yeah. Didn't make the weight and got replaced. And so that was the last time he was on Polaris. And so this time, he made the weight and he was good to go.
He had allegedly done the ADCC in Romania.
Okay.
Yesterday or the day before, a couple days ago. So he was already kind of in the area wandering around on walkabout.
So he looks great. He's on the back. Davis gets the back. Really nice back take. Again, it's kind of very new wavy-esque in the way that he takes the back. Kind of if you watch all those guys from the new wave camp take the back, kind of that chair sit back take, and then immediately throw the leg across the center for the body triangle. That is how they take the back. They're really good. Does it from a body lock. And then we're seeing him work towards a sub. George deals with the subs. George does a really good job of really preventing Davis from being able to put him away, and does a good job of axing his shoulders.
Yeah, I was really surprised over George was reaching for the body triangle and using his hands to not a lot of people can get away with that.
Well, it's just ballsy because your hands on your neck, and if you're if you think that you have a good enough hand fight to deal with one hand versus 2 hands, and then to pop the body triangle off, but a lot of times that's what you need to do. We see it a lot at the really high levels is guys will go, cool, I can't get this body triangle off without addressing it with my hands, and so I have to make a risk decision. Sometimes guys get got with the rear naked choke, but other times, like George here, we saw him be able to make enough distance to turn out of it and get on top from it. And
he passed immediately. He turns around in Davis's guard and was like, you have no guard, and just immediately passes it.
Yeah, this was weird.
And then he gets to mount, and then he basically takes his back, and
he gets a rear naked choke in that's super deep. Then he gets an armbar at the end.
He gets a triangle. Yeah. He gets a triangle from the back. He goes after the arm. His arm, that was one of those sketchy moments. Arm moments.
So yeah,
but he was moving his arm, so I mean, I get it.
Really, the weirdness for this match for me was the decision makes sense. Davis won the first 2 periods. George overwhelmingly won the third period.
Yeah, and
it's kind of the
J-Rod thing. He takes his back literally twice, and Davis cannot get up. Davis is literally laying on the mat.
For me, what was the weirdest piece was the guard pass, where it's you saw Davis not really like Davis looked suddenly exhausted as soon as he lost the back. And as soon as George starts to pass, you see Davis kind of like start to recompose a guard, but not really. And and George passes, and then you see Davis sort of not immediately hip and turn. You see him sort of just lay and like frame in and almost wait in a way that it seemed like he was utterly exhausted. And then George pins and grabs the far side shoulder, pulls him under, steps over, takes the back. And it was this whole series of...
And then the second time he takes his back, he has like head and arm triangle.
Yeah.
And then like grabs it.
He does a shuck by.
Yeah. And then shakes it with him. And I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of pressure on your freaking neck and head before you even, you know.
It was just so weird to watch Davis like completely kind of blow up of just like... I mean, this is like a 10-minute match. It wasn't a 15-minute
and we're talking,
30-minute
it's
match.
the last 3 minutes, so that's 6 minutes in.
Yeah.
You're completely dead.
Like, he was dead. It was really weird.
He didn't get up after the match.
Yeah, he just laid.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't know if the weight cut went bad, if he's sick, or just like, there's maybe some X factors here, but if there are not, I'm kind of concerned about, like, this issue in Davis's career. Like, if he's going to get this tired in a match where he's like kind of dominating and winning the early sections and not without opposition. George was doing a great job here, like preventing him from being finished and like working through the positions. But a match that you're kind of dominating, to get that tired in 6 minutes and then be unable to contain a guard, unable to re-guard, unable to like start working out of side control, really struggling to get a guy, and just basically having to use the last 3 or 4 minutes to just be super tough and to deal with being armbarred, almost having his arm broken, almost triangled, almost getting rear naked choked, like all of these submissions that George is throwing, because George is still like, you know, he's tired, but he's fresh enough because it's one match in a tournament.
Yeah.
Sorry, not a tournament. It's a one match super fight. He has the gas to go 10 minutes, and to have Davis not have that gas tank was really weird.
Yeah.
Like, for a guy that's at the New Wave camp, who's done trials, who's a very high level competitor, it was a really weird switch. And so I don't know what was going on there. I hope we kind of find out.
I just looked and there was nothing. He didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
And he's Norwegian. So like I'm not saying that being from Norway or being from Europe, you shouldn't be able to travel from the United States back and forth, but he's been chilling in Europe for a while.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like
a jet lag thing.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a significant time change probably.
It's also he got that tired in 6 minutes, like that.
Unless he got injured at some point. And
Which is probably, we've seen that happen before. A guy pops a rib halfway through the match and suddenly just implodes. And you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
He's like, and you find out like a month ago, oh, he blew his rib and then just couldn't breathe. And you're like, okay, and he was tough enough to get through it. Like I think we've seen that happen on like an early Polaris card that happened. Yeah. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It was just very weird to see him get this tired after dominating the first section of the match. He wins the match. It's, again, another weird optics thing where George 10-8, 10-7 him.
It made George Pierce look good.
Yeah, George Pierce looked great.
I mean, it made him look...
He looked phenomenal here at the end. Like, and again, but...
And, I mean, he turned it on like he had... What you saw
Like, he had to put the guy away.
You saw him, like turn it on and go.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit, I gotta take care of this now.
I really would have loved to see him transition the armbar across the hip line, because he kept it straight. And Davis is, if you're gangster enough about it, which Davis is, you can hold out and deal. He wasn't doing as much of the shoulder bend that we see J-Rod and Vinny Magalhaes and like other guys will do.
No, put it on the hip and do the power arm bar that basically screws your shoulder for the rest of your life.
It's gross. I've done it.
I was watching his arm. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch it.
It never broke, but it was, you could tell it was fully extended and sore. But again, the whole series was just a little odd, and I'm curious. I'm curious what's going on, because we've seen Asari compete before, and I've not really noticed him gassing this hard ever before. So this was weird. But again, he does take it over George. Again, I would love for this one to see a 10-point must system, because I think this could have been a draw.
There's also things that you can take.
There's that too.
There's things you can take that would make you gas out like that. But
there are definitely things you can take. Let's see, what else do we have in this match? What else do we have in this card?
And then Jed Hugh,
yeah, this was fun. So we saw This is Jed Hugh defeating Julian Espinoza via split decision. We saw Julian Espinoza on the last finishers card, looking really good. Did he win
on the qualifier?
Yeah, did he win?
Yeah,
Okay.
No.
Second place. We covered the finals match. I forget exactly on that card who won that matchup.
I don't remember.
We were impressed with Julian when we covered his last match, so we were happy to see him take on Jed Hugh.
All over the place.
Yeah, super active competitor, which we love, younger. Jed Hugh coming down from 80 kilograms essentially to this match, which I think was at 66 kilos.
Yeah.
Jed Hugh, and they were talking about a commentary. Commentary did a great job on this whole card, talking about how Jed Hugh was going to be the bigger guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what, that's partially why at the beginning of the match we saw Jed Hugh stand for so long, was that he was the bigger guy. He wanted to get some work in a high-level match with his wrestling. He wanted to spend more time standing, just so he could get more of that experience, finally being the smaller guy, the bigger guy, not necessarily getting pushed around. There is one thing that Julian does on the feet that I love. I think it's going to get him into trouble later when he gets higher level. He does a backside foot sweep.
Oh, yeah.
And he does it, and it's rare to see, but it's basically a super tricky, reverse foot sweep where I'm going to describe it here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the beginning of this match because Julian does it twice or three times. You stand square to a guy. You bring I'm going to stand southpaw, so my right leg is going to be forward. You bring your right leg forward, and then with your left leg, you step it behind. Yeah. And you twist, and you try to flick their front side foot with your back leg. Yeah. And trip them, or there's some other crafty stuff you can do. It's a really uncommon move to do. It almost looks like she's doing a nutmeg for soccer, where you kick it through your own legs. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited to see if Julian continues to do this because it is a highlight reel moment every time you get somebody over with it. But I do think high level competitors will watch the foot cross and be able to blast and take him down off of this. But he was trying it on Jed. Eventually, Jed, after about 3 or 4 minutes, I think 4 minutes, pulls guard because he was cool. I've spent time on the feet now. I'm gonna now work into what I do, which is my guard, my leg locks, and I was impressed with Julian's work here. Yeah. Because he staved off everything Jed was throwing at him, and he was giving his own counters to a lot of the stuff that Jed was doing. And we know both guys are very, very good leg lockers. I think this was a battle of, 2 leg lockers. But it was very nice to see, again, some work from Julian here. And Jed, expanding his game, moving down in weight again, because we haven't seen him at 66 in a long time. And generally, it was a really fun match. I think Jed taking a split decision here is reasonable. It was a close match. Yeah.
But Jed had a couple knee bars. He had a couple toe holds.
I think later in the match, in the last 2 periods, Jed had the better entries on the legs that forced Julian to move around a little more. It just seemed like he was much more in control of the match and dictating where they were going in the last 2 periods of the match. But
there was a lot of discussion also over Jed Hugh being a counter attacker. Yeah. And Julian being Julian would grab the leg, try to pass, be okay, I'm going to try to Aogi lock you now because I can. And then Jed Hugh throwing a counter, and his counters being really good, but not really beginning the movement, finishing the movement.
It's the ADCC initiation problem where it's yep, you did a thing, but I did the thing that allowed you to have that action. ADCC is going to score that for the person who's initiating. And I think a lot of grappling sports are moving towards that over the last 4 or 5 years because it's the way the ADCC does it. Yeah. And I think it also it rewards and creates a more exciting match because you're giving a reward to the person that is pushing the action forward. Yeah. For Jed Hugh's style, it can be really problematic because if you're not finishing in those, and usually he is finishing. Yeah. But if you're not finishing in those sequences in rule sets like ADCC and rule sets where initiation is the primary, even CGI uses a lot of initiation criteria. It is harder to win those matches because it's very hard to win as a counter fighter unless you're doing what PJ Barch did in his third place match and cool counter leg locks, boom, and just finishing.
Yeah, but Jed, it was an exciting match to watch. It went by a lot faster than I expected. Yeah, I remember looking down and being
this opened the main card actually.
Yeah, I was oh, that was a 10-minute match. Mm-hmm. Didn't realize that was 10 minutes.
Which is kind of what I like about a lot of the Polaris matches is, for some reason, the activity in the Polaris matches, generally speaking, is pretty good.
Julian didn't win. The guy that won was the Orange County.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Guy. that had just won the
finishers qualifier.
Yeah, Julian got second place.
That's
Julian made it pretty far.
Yeah, we were excited. Yeah, regardless.
I had to think about it for a second.
I appreciate you getting
I was
there.
Googling it and I couldn't find it, and I couldn't find it on his Instagram, and I was like,
there's nothing like trying to find a jiu-jitsu result for an event 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It is lost to the sands of time.
We have notes, but then you would have to go back and figure out what date notes.
We're gonna have to stall for 5 minutes. So that was Polaris. I think Polaris puts on some of the best, like just from a watchability perspective, like the broadcast quality. So many things I love about Polaris. Like every match is graphic of time on the screen. Every match has the names of both competitors, and I love that Polaris has them in their kits for rash guard. It's like, hey, it's a picture from like today.
Yeah. This
is what Jed Hugh looks like. This is what Diego Pato looks like. This is what Ash Williams, and it's on the bottom like they do for Thai fights, where it's like, this is the guy you're looking at. This is his name, so you know who the commentators are talking about. You can figure out who you're watching. You can put a name to a face. I think every organization should do this in combat sports, of like, have a little picture of the guy next to the name and have the round. It's such a high quality broadcast. I'm never thinking about like, oh, why is it like this with Polaris? Every single Polaris card, I'm just massively pleased with the quality of the event. Commentary is usually very good, very accurate, has great insight. Like, I wish Polaris had more cards and we were able to cover Polaris more often. Again, even though I'm not a super big fan of the round system, I would rather it be a 10-point must system.
Yeah.
It works for most of the matches, and athletes play and put on exciting matches in that format. Like, really always happy to cover Polaris. Wish they'd run some more events. They're definitely going to go to Polaris in the future at some point.
And I gave us the wrong event that something was happening here.
Oh, okay. So let's move on to it. Let's do it.
So he has 2 matches in a row. That's why. Keith Krikorian is coming back to our hood for the next like 2 or 3 weeks, and he's taking a bunch of matches.
So that's on with Polaris. We're going to move on to the preview section of the show.
Yeah, all over the place. So to stay on the topic of Julian Espinoza, Keith Krikorian is going to go against Julian Espinoza at the Place of Peace Invitational on...
Usually this is broadcast on...
September 14th.
I forget if it's a pay-per-view or...
Which is Saturday.
We watch Place of Peace. I always forget if I have to pay for it or if it's an Instagram live reel.
It's a live stream.
That's what it is, yeah.
It's the Place of Peace, BJJ.com live stream. So this is Saturday. Keith is going to go against Julian at Place of Peace.
Should be a really great match again. I do favor Keith to win it, but I think Julian is a guy that is very rapidly up and coming and been very exciting. But Krikorian, the last couple of years, man, he is really, really tough to beat on these like regional shows. Even like look at his trials performances at ADCC. Like, dude's really, 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 really high level. So I'm curious to see kind of Julian moving into this upper echelon of grapplers recently, more so like on these super fights.
Yeah.
Very, very excited to see. I think Julian has like some major wins in like IBJJF as well. But I'm super excited to see this matchup. So do we know who Keith is going against?
Yes.
At the Zach Edwards Invitational?
Yes.
Okay.
He's going against, and then the following day, which is the...
September 15th.
The 15th, he is at the Zach Edwards Invitational. And he's going against Matt Mash.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not
who
really
is a younger... He's a younger kid. He trains under Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
I watched some of his matches at the last Finishers card. He was on the same bracket as Julian was on the...
in an earlier round.
Yeah, and I think he got taken out by...
the winner?
No, he got taken out by...
Jack Sear?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I believe. But that was a very long day. Thankfully, the Zach Edwards Invitational starts at 11.
Nice.
Thankfully, not 6 p.m. like the last event.
Zach Edwards Invitational is great. It commemorates the life of Zach Edwards, who is a big guy in our community locally here. I got a chance to commentate a bunch of his matches over the years, talk to him, passed away a couple of years ago. And so he was a big standout in the Finisher series, was on their cards all the time, was a really active competitor. And so this is an event basically to commemorate him. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd year they've done it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it's been going on for a little bit. And this
always a great thing.
And this match is going to be the CGI rule set.
Yep, which is the first time that Finishers is making that switch over.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about. Like, a lot of things are switching over to CJI. I do like that because it means we're going to get more consistency of understanding across the community for those rules. If they really are going to put on major tournaments every year, like I want the community and the athletes and the competitors and even the people that are watching like us to have the best understanding of those rules possible so that we can better understand, what we're looking at and why a guy is winning a match in CJI, and also iron out some of the kinks that potentially we saw from the World Championships for CJI. Always a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on this week. Bunch of Keith Quarrian matches, which is always awesome. Love seeing Keith compete.
And then we wait a little bit, and then we wait till the following weekend, and he's doing arena.
Doing arena grappling. Which where I commentated a bunch of Zach Edwards matches years and years ago. Yep.
Nice.
I used to do commentary for arena. So that is it. Miranda, do you have anything else going on this week? Anything fun?
This week? No. A little bit of work travel before I go into living in Oklahoma for a little bit. Not living there, but
for work.
Having
there for work.
Having to be there for work for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in Oklahoma, and you
say what's up.
No, I'm probably I don't. Oklahoma's a big ass state.
It is,
and I'm in a part of Oklahoma that I don't think there's anything except for I don't even know what Oklahoma's known for.
I was down in Virginia and lower Maryland this last couple of weeks, and it was awesome to get a chance to drop in and train with a bunch of different folks.
Yeah,
I don't get to drop in and travel a whole lot because I don't travel as much for work as I did years and years ago. So it was nice to be able to drop in and travel and train, and the community's really great. It's awesome. Yeah. Also, apologies to the folks that keep asking us for timestamps for the show. I'm trying to figure out a way to be able to do those easily for the show as we run it. Given how we do the show, it is very difficult for us to do that with how it is currently set up. It's difficult to do that, to take notes during the show, during segments, because of how kind of quickly we move through. That's what I like about the show, is that it moves through quickly, and we try not to have a lot of fluff and downtime in the show.
Doesn't YouTube do that automatically?
They do,
sometimes?
But usually when people that are watching it that week, they don't process. So for the older shows, they will automatically add them for some of them. Or for the new shows, a lot of times that week, YouTube hasn't automatically parsed through, and so it's just hard. So again, apologies. I'm working on that actively. I'm trying to figure out how to do it, but it is a huge time sink to do it manually after the fact, just with how we record the show. But I am hearing you. I do appreciate, as always, the feedback. If you want to leave us feedback for stuff like that on the show, give a comment on the YouTube page. We love to get them. Subscribe to the Grappling Rewind on Instagram and Facebook and all those other places. Normally, honestly, the YouTube is the best place. If you want to leave a comment on this week's episode, that's the best way to get a hold of us. I read all the comments and respond to most of them. We always appreciate it. Miranda, anything else going on?
I don't think so.
All right. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine. I'm my co-host,
Miranda.
And we are the Grappling Rewind. Stay on the mat where it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.